welcome to the next homework review video. We're going to be looking at the task for Year 4, Block 5, and this is week 4. It's going to focus on the task within the 11 plus verbal reasoning GL 8 to 9 10-minute test book, and it will be on pages 42 to 49. We're just going to have a little look though at the homework overview just so you can be clear about the other tasks as well. So we've got to complete units 7 and 8 in the Bond Key Stage 2 Spelling and Vocabulary Workbook. That's pages 31 to 38. Then we've got to complete Test 17, 18 and 19 in the CGP Verbal Reasoning GL 8 to 9 book. That's pages 42 and 49. And then Puzzles 6 on page 56, again in that CGP book, is the other task that we'd like you to complete. Of course, as you go through your homework, if there is any vocabulary you're unsure of, please record those words or those new unfamiliar words in your word and meaning book. And we're going to go through the answers now. So hopefully you've completed those tasks, and as you always know with these videos, you can fast forward to different tests if you want to check an answer or hear an explanation on how to approach it. So let's have a look first of all at test 17. And we're going to go through now the first set of questions, which are balanced equations. So let's just make sure we know exactly what to do. So it says you have 10 minutes. You are welcome to time yourself if you want to. I would certainly suggest though, if you don't complete all the questions in 10 minutes, put a little star, carry on to the end, and the next time you do a test, see if you can get a little bit further through. Or if you are completing it within 10 minutes, make sure you use that time to go back and check any harder questions. So work as quickly and as accurately as you can. So the first set of questions we have to find the missing number to complete each sum. Write your answer on the line. So in the example, 15 take away 6 of course is 9. So you get basically 9 on both sides of the equal sign. Number 1, 5 times 7 we know is 35. And therefore we can write 35 on the line. The answers are displayed here as well for you, just to double check. Number 2, 17 plus something equals 22. And we can use our inverse operation here. So we can do 22 subtract 17. And of course that gets us 5. And if we add that in, if we're doing the brackets first, 5 add 17 gives us 22. Here we can do 9 minus 1 gives us 8. And then we can either subtract the 2. Is another way to approach it. So you could say, well, 8 take away the 2 gives me 6. Therefore 2 plus 6 equals 8. Here we've got sort of a double operation on both sides, and it is worth referencing BODMAS a little bit here. So if you go with 14 divided by 2, that of course gets us 7. Add 4 is 11. So we know we've got 11 on either side. Moving on now to a set of code questions. We have seen these before, but what you'll notice now, rather than just 3-letter words, we've got 4-letter words that we need to match up with those correct numbers. So the way we would suggest you do these is use the number codes for the words you're given to answer the questions. Write, of course, your answer on the line. If the code for face is 2631, so I'm actually going to write 2, I do it quite small so it's nicely lined up with those letters. That's somewhere where we can go wrong otherwise. And then the code for bear is 5164, so 5164. And then find the code for the word care. So we're going to look for the C, which is obviously the 3. The A is a 6. The R is a 4. And the E is a 1. So 3641. Then for fear, we've got 2 for the F. E is 1. A is 6. And R is 4. Find the word that has the number code 4631. So 4 is the R. The 6 is the A. The 3 is the C. And the 1 is the E. So the word we get there is race. Moving on then to the next set of questions. It says find the letter that the clue refers to. write your answer on the line. So in the example, which letter occurs twice in the word rivalry? It is, of course, the R. You can see it appears twice there, once at the beginning and the second to last letter. So find the letter that occurs twice in the word mumble. So it would be an M. Most often in the word testify, well, there's a T twice. I don't think there's any other letters that appear twice or more. So the answer is T. 3 times in the word tattoo is again T. And then the last one, 3 times in the word unusual. And there are 3 U's. So it's a case just looking carefully, double checking as you're going along. Moving on to some word analogies. In this one we need to underline the word in brackets that completes the sentence in the most sensible way. So once we've established a link between the first set of words, we can then apply it to the third to the fourth. So cow is to milk, we obviously get milk from cows, and then as hen is to, what do we get from hens? They lay eggs. So glasses are to eyes, glasses obviously go over your eyes, as braces go over your teeth. So again, just checking the other options, chew and mouth, no, that doesn't work. Braces need to go over your teeth. Omelette is to eggs, so we make an omelette from eggs, as chips are to, so where do we make, what's the raw ingredient for chips? It is, of course, potatoes. Number 14, artist is to painting, as baker is to, so an artist does paintings, what does a baker do? Makes cakes. 15, police officer is to crime, as firefighter is to fire. So what do police officers prevent? They prevent crime. Firefighters put out fires. Number 16, well, it's obviously part of their job. 16, birds are to flock, as cows are to. Now, flock is a collective noun. It's worth learning your collective nouns for different animals. Birds are to a flock, as cows, what's a group of cows called? It's a herd. Well done if you managed to get the majority of those questions right, or if not all of them. Do put your mark, of course, in the box at the end. There's also a progress grid at the back of your book where you can record down your scores and see how you're getting on. Right, moving on now to test 18. We're actually going to start by looking at some letter analogies. So just reading what we have to do. Find the pairs of letters that complete each sentence in the most sensible way. Use the alphabet to help you. Write your answer on the line. So it's really important to realise the rules here. So we need to be doing the first letter of each pair. So in this instance it's X to Z, which is forward 2. E forward 2 gives me G. And then we're going to do the second letter, and that is L to N. L to N is forward 2, so A forward 2 gives us C. So we're going to work out the rules and then hopefully work out the next 2 letters. So J to O, that's a jump of, let's do this on the alphabet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 forwards. K forward 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get the first letter as P. Then we're going to do the second letter, F to K. F to K is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again. So G forwards 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get L. Now you can see there that the alphabet is starting to get a little bit messy. So when you use your pencil in your book, you can obviously rub it out. And we'd really encourage you to use pencil rather than pen, because it's a lot easier to rub out if you need to clear your alphabet to start again. Question 2. So again, we're going to go from Q to O. And that's backwards 2. So V back 2 gives me a T as my first letter. And then we're going to go O to M. That's also backwards 2. Y backwards 2 gives me W. So TW. Then we're going to move on to number 3. B to C is forward 1. D forward 1. Don't even need to look at the alphabet for that one, of course, is E. And then R to Q is back 1. T back 1 gives me an S. So it's ES. Looking at number 4, we've got Y and C. U is to UD as KJ is to. So again, we're going to do Y to U. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4 backwards. So we need to do K backwards 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 gives me a G. And then we're going to do C to D, which of course consecutive, and J, the next letter, is a K. So the answer is GK. Hopefully you've managed to get all of those right. Of course, as you go down through, you can give them a tick. If you do get any wrong, just read the explanations here. Obviously, counting is important. You've got to be really accurate with those. It's so easy to maybe misjudge counting on the alphabet. Remember, you're counting the gaps, not the letters in between. The next set of questions is all about finding the word that completes a third pair of words so that it follows the same pattern as the first two pairs. Write your answer on the line. So here you'll notice we've got the word imp, and it's taken from the last three letters. And then we've got grasp, and we've taken the last asp as the last three letters there. So we're going to take the last three letters of shelf, ELF, for elf. So it's all about understanding the pattern. So again, we're taking the three letters here from share to get R, and we're taking the three letters here from wheel rather, to give us eel. So if we take the last three letters of alarm, we get ARM, which spells the word arm, and it'll always spell a word here. I'm going to take the first three letters here, windy to win, bingo to bin. So we're going to take pan from panda. And then we're going to look at number 7. And on number 7, you'll notice that rap comes from the middle of grape, 8 comes from the middle of dates. So we're going to take ear from the middle of pears. So it's quite fun trying to work out where the letters have come from. And then this one's a little bit more tricky. So we've got, we've got day. So the D is the fourth letter, A is the second, and the Y is the first. So what you can do on this one is actually think a little bit more about a number code. So we're going to take the fourth letter first, then the second, then the first. So it becomes 421. So we recognise that that's the same pattern for him from Mike. So we're going to do this over here. So the fourth letter is M, second letter is E, and the first letter is T. So we get met. Hope that makes sense, and that's a good way, certainly with longer words, to start numbering them. Moving on now to the next set of questions. In these, we're given 4 words in each of the lists. Underline the word that is not related to the other 4. So 5 words, and then the one that is not part of that list. So number 9, it will be spoon, because all the others are types of garden tool. Then we've got 10, cobra, chameleon, python, viper and rattlesnake. Well, if you know your types of snake, you'll realise that the chameleon is not a type of snake, whereas all the other 4 are. Number 11, we've got myth, legend, book, fable and folklore. All the others are types of traditional story, so book is the odd one out there. Then we've got number 12, we've got stain, blemish, dusty, blotch and smudge. Well, 4 of them mean to make a mark, whereas dusty, that doesn't mean to make a mark. Well done again, if you managed to get all of those odd one out questions correct. Now the last part of this test, test 18, you're going to need to insert a letter to complete the first part of the word and then end the second word. So, or start the second word, I should say. So, finish the first word, start the second word. So, this one is an E for mile and ends. Number 14 is an L for fill and load. Number 15 is T for just and take. And then the final one is A, another vowel, sofa and also. One of the ways that you can do these to maybe make it a little bit easier for yourself is maybe write out the alphabet so you can try different letters, or look at the letter strings that are most unusual. So I think certainly in 13, N, D, S, very likely to have, well, it's bound to have a vowel, because it wouldn't have any vowels in that word otherwise. There are very few words without any vowels. So what you could do is write your vowels out like this and test which one spells a correct word. And obviously E would be the answer. So again, write your score out of 16 in the box, or record it as well on your progress grid as well. Okay, let's move on now to the final test, and that's test 19 in the CGP book. So you're going to have another 10 minutes again. Hopefully you time yourself when you were doing it. And the first set of questions involves you finding a word that rhymes with the word in brackets and has a similar meaning to the clue in capitals. Write your answer on the line. So a burst of light, and it must rhyme with splash. And of course that's the word flash. So well done again if you managed to spot that and you managed to work out the clues. Hedge, we need another word for hedge, and this one will be bush. I don't quite agree with it rhyming with crush, but anyway, bush is certainly another synonym for hedge. And then number, and we've got heaven, and that will be 7. That does rhyme. And then we've got sugary, meat, and it rhymes with meat, and it's sugary, it'll be sweet. So again, well done if you managed to get all 4 of those. And let's have a look then at the next set of questions. Now these are really good fun. The idea behind these is you have to change one letter from the first word, and then that will create a word, and then you change one of those letters to make the last word. So remember, you're only changing one letter at a time to make the first word into the final word. So town. Now, to know what letter you might need to change, by the time we get over here, that there has become an R. So if we were to replace the W with an R, we would get the word torn. And then the letter that changes from torn to born, of course, is the T to the B. Number 6, we've got core and rare. So what we can see here is the A has changed from the O, and that's going to become care. And then to change care to rare, we're just changing the C to the R. Having a look at boat, so again coming over here, having a look at the letters that you know have changed. So the O becomes the E. So again, we're going to go with the word beat. And then beat becomes beam, the T changes to an M. And the final one, we've got ship and then stop. Now you'll see here the O, or the I eventually turns into an O. So if we change it here, we've got shop becomes stop. Now these ones we have seen in the past. Each letter stands for a number. We have to work out the answer to each sum as a letter, writing your answer on the line. So what we would suggest here is you do a few jottings. So I would suggest with D, for example, you would just quickly write 18 above, because this is the code. Now every single question has a different code. 18 divided by 6 gives me 3, but we're not going to record the answer as 3. We're going to record it as B, because we record the answer as a letter. Question 10, B plus C. So quickly find B is 6, C is 8. We're going to add them together to get 14, but of course that will be E. And if we look at question 11, E is 19, and then we're going to subtract it from B, which is 6, to give us 13. Therefore the answer is D. Moving on then to question 12, we've got D, which is 8, multiplied by 2 to give us 16, plus 4 gives us 20. And therefore the answer will be E. Again, go down through. If you've got all those right, give them a tick. If you haven't, what we tend to suggest is put a little dot rather than a cross. Just it's easier then for you to go back and have a look at. Question 13, we have to read the following bits of information and then work out which of the statements must be true. So the first part says, cinemas show popular films. Some horror films are popular. If these statements are true, only one of the statements below must be true. Which one will it be? Well, cinemas only play horror films. Well, it doesn't say that within the text. Remember, we've got to rely on what it says. It shows popular films, but it doesn't say it just shows horror films, so it's not that one. Horror films are scary. Well, they are, but there's no mention of that within the text. Cinema popcorn is expensive. Again, it might be, but it's not mentioned within the information. And then that only leaves us with this one better be true. Cinemas sometimes show horror films. Well, yes, if cinemas show popular films and some horror films are popular, then cinemas must sometimes show horror films. So well done if you got that correct. And look at question 14. Strawberries are a type of fruit. Fruit have seeds. So if statements are true, only one of the statements below must be true. So circle the correct answer. So A, strawberries don't have seeds. Well, it says here that strawberries are a fruit and fruits have seeds, so that can't be correct. Strawberries make good jam. They probably do, but it doesn't mention that in the text. Strawberries have seeds. Well, that seems to make sense, because if strawberries are a type of fruit and fruit have seeds, then strawberries must have seeds. Strawberries are a vegetable. Cross that out. No, because it says they're a type of fruit. So again, put your score out of 14. Well done if you've managed to get all of those correct. And the final little task to look at is puzzle 6. So this is dragon riddles. Neil the knight has a dragon to slay. He has to pass through a series of doors and answer a riddle at each one to get to the dragon. Each answer is a letter, and these letters can be rearranged to form a word, which will reveal the dragon's secret weakness. Write each letter, and then finally unscramble the word on the line. So, let's have a little look. We've actually done these already, but just to go through them very quickly. If you add me to road, you'll find a word which means wearing away, and that's erode. So we need an E there. Double me and add me to high, and you find a noise that a snake makes. Well, of course, that's an S to spell hiss. If you remove me from cheat, you'll find a word that means talk, and that's chat. So we're going to take the E away there. If you add me to maths, you will find something that lights fires. That, of course, is a match. Add me to the start and end of lit, and you'll find a word which means superior, and that's the word elite. So just to spell the word elite for you, E-L-I-T-E, kind of means that you're the best or better than someone else. And then if you remove me from shock, you'll find an item of clothing. And of course, if you take the H away, you get sock. So those are my letters. Now, an anagram is about you reordering those letters to spell a word. So one way you can do that is by putting the letters that you have maybe into a circle, for example. And it might help you see those letters easier and create a word. CH are good letters to put together, lots of words with CH in. So if you may have spotted it already, the secret weakness for the dragon is cheese, and that will help Neil slay his dragon. Well done, everyone. I hope you've managed to get that set of questions correct and you've enjoyed working through your homework. Well done. We look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye bye.